I definitely want to talk about writing now. So you all are very familiar, at least I think many of you, if not all of you, are very familiar with the writing revolution. And I love the writing revolution. I've known Judy Hockman for years. She trained our mentors a number of years ago in her writing program, and it's amazing. And all these building blocks are not building blocks, sorry, principles are important. The ones that I have highlighted here, or I thought I did anyway, are this idea sentences are the building blocks, that grammar is best taught in context. That's extremely important. So I'm going to reiterate that. And these are some I do, we do, you do strategies that come from the writing revolution. And this is something that I pulled off one of the documents that you shared with me. So if you don't know about it, it is in your references. So when we talk about the who do, we can do these things for writing too. Complete the sentence with a prepositional phrase, add a verb to each prepositional phrase. So you have these sentence frames that we use for oral language. We can use these for written language. We can do something called sort, match, and write. And I'm going to show you an example of it in a second. But again, thinking about these stages or phases that Linnea Airy talks about, the pre-alphabetic, we would have them do this orally, but once they're able to read, we can have them do this activity with decodable text, and then we want them to write the sentences. Same thing with at the consolidated stage. So what would this look like? We have a text here about, you know, this researchers finding these nutrients in icebergs. They explored. The icebergs were floating. The nutrients helped make. There's information about birds eating the krill and the fish. So we can have the students sort the who did what to what and when. So these are the objects, or they could be the adverbial clauses after they broke off a sheet of ice. So you give them the words down below, and then they sort. And then when they're done sorting, they actually write the sentences. And you can have them expand those sentences as well. Do the same thing with this idea of the just statement that I mentioned a few minutes ago. These are the 3 steps for writing a just statement, but they start with that who or what and expanding, and then combining the information to write a just statement. Here we have a passage from ReadWorks about hurricanes. And what we're doing with this particular passage is we're going to have the kids practice writing and putting the ideas together with the who, the do, and then expanding more about where these hurricanes form, etc. And then they can write the sentences about this particular text. They're going to select the vocabulary words that we want them to use in their written work. They're going to start by writing a kernel sentence with the selected verbs, vocabulary. So in this case, they're going to write kernel sentences about hurricanes, maybe using the word storm. And then they're going to expand their kernel sentence with a where and a when phrase. So where did the hurricanes form, right? Where do the hurricanes move? Where do the hurricanes spin? And you all have seen this template from the Writing Revolution. It's a wonderful way to get students to write their summaries. So this is a quote from Hockman and Wexler's book, The Writing Revolution, talking about the fact that summarizing and sentence expansion actually demand the similar skills that I just showed you with, for example, the just statement. And this is a great graphic organizer for having the students practice writing those summary sentences. Another very effective strategy that has been well researched is sentence combining. And Bruce Sadler, if I'm sure many of you know who he is, he's been doing this work for quite some time. He's written lots of books on sentence combining, and it's extremely effective strategy, especially for writers with learning disabilities. And so you can start with something super simple, combining Goldilocks, oh my gosh, like I said, tongue-tied. Goldilocks was hungry. She broke into the bear's home. What fanboy would go here? Goldilocks was hungry, comma, so she broke into the bear's home, right? So just combining two simple sentences into a compound sentence. And you start small, you can do a compound subject, you can do a compound predicate. You start out easy and then you get progressively more challenging. And this is from one of your wonderful PowerPoints that I pulled out. This is the I do, where you're going to have two simple sentences. You're going to have students identify the independent clause and generate a compound sentence with a coordinating conjunction. So you have lots of great information in your wonderful resources that point to how you might have students do this work with sentence combining. It really does a great job of kind of getting them to put into practice writing these more complex sentences by using the coordinating or subordinating conjunctions, combining words, etc. So it's really great. And I loved looking at your resources and how you've put those together. You've done a great job. Is another activity where you're combining word level work with sentence level writing. So you might have students list 10 nouns with this particular phonetic pattern that they've been working on, and then have them list 10 action verbs, right? And sort of another idea of a sentence slam, and then have them write 3 or more 2-word sentences with singular subjects, have them practice with plural subjects so that they can do that subject-verb agreement that many of them struggle with. After they do that, have them add adjectives, tell more about the name or the noun, and then write a short paragraph that incorporates some of those words and phrases. And once you can do a single paragraph like that and do this, with a very scaffolded approach, we want the students to be able to write a simple paragraph with a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and concluding sentence. And we teach them in this progression, right? Where the teacher provides the topic sentence and the students have to write a couple of supporting sentences. Now you give them the supporting sentences and they have to figure out what the topic sentence is, and then finally figure out how to do a concluding sentence. And this is just an example of the activity done with one of our mentors, showing them a topic sentence about a beloved teacher in this school, and the children brainstormed all the things that Mr. Acero can do, and then what's the wrap-up or concluding sentence from that. And then what Wendy did after that is she had them expand this paragraph through her questioning strategies and shifting phrases around. So she moved every day at school. So the when, Mr. A helps students and teachers, showing them how you can move phrases around. All right, and so that's not enough about writing. I know that. There's so much that we need to do with writing, but I hope that you can sort of think about all the things I talked about in the major part of this webinar, where we talked about those activities, the word sorts, the sentence building, neighbor expansion, action expansion, that you actually can take into students' writing. And I think you also have done a really nice job with your PowerPoints and your syntax project with getting students to be writing.